The twins wouldn't stop screaming. I'd been sitting outside the executive floor for 3 minutes, wheels locked on my chair, hands gripping the armrests until my knuckles went white, listening to those infants cry with the kind of desperation that made my milk let down involuntarily. The wetness spread across my chest, soaking through my janitor's uniform, and I hated my body for remembering, for responding to babies that weren't mine, could never be mine, because mine were dead. 6 weeks dead, to be exact. Buried in matching white caskets, so small they looked like cruel jokes. Lyra and Celeste Delacroix, born at 29 weeks because a drunk driver, except he wasn't drunk, I'd learned that later, had slammed into our car at 65 miles per hour and killed my alpha mate instantly. Matthias died with my name on his lips. I know because I was conscious for that part. Conscious for him reaching for me with a hand that couldn't move because his neck was broken. Conscious for the light leaving his eyes while I screamed, and our daughters kicked frantically inside me. Panicking, knowing something terrible was happening. They cut the babies out of me while I was barely coherent. Emergency C-section in a trauma bay that smelled like blood and antiseptic. 29 weeks. 2 pounds each. Lungs like tissue paper, skin so translucent I could see their heartbeats. 18 hours. That's how long they lived. 18 hours of tubes and machines, and me holding them one at a time, because they were too fragile to hold together. 18 hours of memorizing faces I'd never see again. Of singing lullabies to daughters who'd never hear them outside a NICU. And when they died, when their tiny hearts just stopped because their bodies couldn't fight anymore, I wanted to die too. But I didn't. I woke up from surgery to find my legs wouldn't move. Spinal fracture at L1, the doctors said. Severe cord compression. Incomplete paraplegia. I'd probably never walk again. So I lost my mate, my daughters, and my ability to stand, all in the same night. That was 6 weeks ago. Now I was a janitor. Night shift at Thorn Industries because it was the only job that would hire a broken Omega in a wheelchair. I cleaned floors I'd never walk on. Emptied trash bins while sitting down. Try not to think about how 6 weeks ago I'd been planning a nursery, picking out names, celebrating at a gender reveal party with pink balloons and a cake that said twin girls. And my body, my cruel, stupid body was still producing milk. Gallons of it. For babies who'd never need it. I had to pump and dump it 4 times a day just to manage the pain, the engorgement, the constant biological reminder that I'd given birth but had nothing to feed. Which is why, standing outside the executive floor at 2 in the morning, listening to someone else's twin scream with hunger, my traitorous body was already responding. Milk letting down. Breasts aching. Biology overriding grief. I should have wheeled away. Should have minded my business. Should have protected what was left of my shattered heart. But those screams. God, those screams sounded exactly like Lyra and Celeste in their final hours, before the morphine, before the machines took over their breathing. I couldn't leave. I unlocked my wheels and pushed through the door. The executive suite was ridiculous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle, furniture that probably cost more than my entire year's salary, art on the walls that I didn't understand but knew was expensive. And in the middle of all that wealth and power, Cade Thorne was falling apart. I'd seen him before, obviously. Everyone who worked at Thorne Industries knew what he looked like. Ruthless CEO alpha. Billionaire. Known for hostile takeovers and crushing competitors. The kind of alpha who made other alphas nervous. But the man pacing his office at 2 a.m., holding 2 screaming newborns, looked nothing like the polished executive I'd seen in company newsletters. He looked destroyed. His shirt was on backwards. His hair stood up in every direction like he'd been pulling at it. He had spit up on his shoulder and what looked like formula stains on his pants. His eyes were bloodshot, his face unshaven, and he was making this sound, this broken, desperate sound, while trying to rock both babies at once. Please, he was saying to them, his voice cracking. Please, just eat. Just a little. Please don't die. I can't lose you too. Please. The twins screamed louder. And my milk let down harder, soaking through my shirt completely now, impossible to hide. Cade's head snapped up. His alpha senses, even exhausted, even destroyed, had caught the scent. Sweet. Omega. Lactating. He stared at me. At my wheelchair. At the wet spots spreading across my chest. At my janitor's uniform with Soren embroidered on the pocket. He stopped. Swallowed. You're producing. It wasn't a question. The evidence was literally dripping. I'm sorry, I said, my voice rough from disuse. I barely talked anymore. I heard them crying. I'll go. No. The word came out sharp. Desperate. Please. Please don't go. He took a step toward me, and I saw it then. The absolute devastation in his eyes. This wasn't just a stressed parent. This was someone drowning. They won't eat, Cade said, and his voice broke completely. They won't take bottles. Won't take formula. Every wet nurse, every nanny, every feeding specialist, they refuse. They're 2 weeks old, and they're starving to death, and I don't know how to save them. 2 weeks. His mate had died 2 weeks ago. I knew because it had been in the news. Thorne Industries CEO's Omega mate dies in childbirth. I'd read the article while sitting in physical therapy, still numb from my own losses. Isadora Thorne. Postpartum hemorrhage. Died 12 hours after delivering healthy twin girls. These twin girls, apparently, who were now screaming like they wanted to die too. The pediatrician said if they don't eat in the next 48 hours, they'll need feeding tubes, Cade continued. He was talking fast now, words tumbling out. Hospitalization. Intervention. But they're so small already. They've lost weight. And I can't let them suffer. But I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make them eat. The baby screamed. My milk leaked. And I made a decision that would change everything. I can try, I heard myself say. Just once. Just to see if they'll latch. No promises. Cade's eyes went wide. You do that? You don't even know me. Know them. I know what it sounds like when babies are dying, I said quietly. And I can't listen to that and walk away. He crossed the room in 3 strides. Knelt down. This powerful alpha actually dropped to his knees, so he was at my wheelchair height. Please, he said again. Please help them. I'll pay anything. Do anything. Just please don't let my daughters die. Up close, I could see the tears on his face. The desperation. The love for these tiny screaming babies he was holding. And something in my chest cracked open. Give me one, I said. He handed me the baby on his left, smaller, redder in the face from screaming. I positioned her against my chest, and before I could even properly unlatch my shirt, she turned toward the milk scent with desperate urgency. She latched within seconds. No coaxing. No struggle. Just immediate, fierce nursing like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. The screaming stopped. Cade made a sound like he'd been punched. Oh my God. She's eating. She's actually eating. The baby in his arms, the twin, started crying harder, smelling the milk, smelling her sister feeding. Trade, I said, and we switched babies with the careful choreography of people terrified of dropping newborns. The second baby latched just as fast, just as desperately, and suddenly the office was quiet except for the sound of nursing. Small gulps. Satisfied baby sounds. The kind of peace I hadn't felt in 6 weeks. I looked down at the baby in my arms. Couldn't have been more than 6 pounds, tiny and perfect and alive, and felt my heart break all over again. This should have been Lyra. Or Celeste. This should have been my daughter's nursing. My baby's alive and healthy and hungry. But they weren't. They were dead and buried, and I was feeding someone else's children with milk meant for ghosts. Thank you, Cade whispered. He'd sat down on the floor across from me, still holding the baby I'd just fed. She was already falling asleep, milk-drunk and content. Thank you. You saved them. You saved my daughters. It's just once, I said, even though I could already feel myself getting attached. Could already feel the dangerous pull of being needed. Just tonight. You'll need to find a wet nurse who. They won't take anyone else, Cade interrupted. We've tried. God, we've tried. 7 different wet nurses. For nannies. 3 lactation consultants. They refuse. They scream until they're blue, and then they refuse some more. He looked at the baby in his arms like she was a miracle. But they took you. Immediately. Like they were waiting for you. That doesn't mean. Please. He looked at me directly. Please consider staying. Just until we figure something out. Until they're stable enough to wean. I'll pay you whatever you want. Give you whatever you need. Just please don't let them starve. I should have said no. Should have protected myself. Should have remembered that getting attached to babies led to holding them while they died. But the baby in my arms was nursing contentedly, making small satisfied sounds. Very much alive. And for the first time in 6 weeks, my milk was going to someone who needed it. Okay, I said. But just temporarily. Just until they're stable. It was a lie. I already knew it was a lie. But Cade nodded like it was truth, and we sat there in his executive office at 2 a.m., 2 grieving people trying to keep someone else's babies alive. I didn't know then that this moment, this decision, would become everything. I didn't know that saving his daughters would nearly destroy me. I didn't know that Cade Thorne would become the second person I loved enough to ruin me. But I'd learn. Eventually, I'd learn all of it. The twins' names were Mira and Zara. I learned this while Cade showed me to the guest room in his penthouse at 3 a.m., both babies finally asleep after feeding. Mira is older by 2 minutes, he explained, carrying both babies in a double bassinet. She's the screamer. Zara is quieter but more stubborn. She's the one who started refusing bottles first. His penthouse was obscene. 30 floors up, 3,000 square feet, automated everything. The guest room alone was bigger than my entire studio apartment. I know it's not accessible, Cade said, looking at my wheelchair with something like guilt. The building is old, but I can have contractors here tomorrow. Ramps, wider doors, whatever you need. It's fine, I said, because I was too tired to care about accessibility. Too tired to do anything except pump the remaining milk and try to sleep. Cade hesitated in the doorway. I should probably know your name. Your real name, not just what's on your uniform. Soren Delacroix. Soren, he repeated, testing it. I'm Cade, but you probably knew that. Everyone knows who you are, right? Of course. He shifted the bassinet. The babies will probably wake up in 3 hours. Maybe 4 if we're lucky. I can bring them to you. Or you can come to the nursery, or bring them to me, I said. It'll be easier. He nodded, started to leave. Stopped. Soren, thank you. Not just for feeding them. He stopped. For not making me beg too long. I would have gotten on my knees and begged for as long as it took. But thank you for sparing me that. You did get on your knees, I pointed out. Right? Well, thank you for not making me grovel. He left before I could respond. I sat in the obscenely expensive guest room and looked around at my new reality. Temporary reality, I reminded myself. Just until the babies were stable. I pulled out my pump, hospital grade, prescribed after my daughters died to help manage the milk production, and started the familiar routine. The mechanical whir, the pull and release. The milk flowing into collection bottles I just dumped down the sink because there was no point keeping it. Except now there was a point. Now there were 2 tiny babies who needed this milk, who'd latched onto me like I was their salvation. I dumped this batch anyway. It had been too long since the last pumping. The next one would be fresh. Better for the twins. The twins. Already I was thinking of them as mine to care for. Already I was calculating feeding schedules and wondering if I had enough milk production for 2. Dangerous. This was dangerous. Getting attached to babies I'd have to leave eventually. But as I lay down in the enormous guest bed and closed my eyes, I could still feel the weight of Mira in my arms. Could still hear the satisfied sounds she'd made while nursing. For 6 weeks, my body had been producing milk for no one. For ghosts. For daughters buried in a cemetery I couldn't bear to visit. Now it had a purpose again. And God help me, but that felt like a reason to survive tomorrow. The babies woke me at 5 a.m. I heard them crying from down the hall. That newborn sound that bypassed rational thought and went straight to biological imperative. My milk let down before I was even fully awake. Cade appeared in my doorway seconds later, looking even more wrecked than he had at 2 a.m. I'm sorry, he said. I tried to calm them. Tried bottles again. They won't. It's fine. I interrupted, because the crying was making my chest ache. Just bring them here. He brought the bassinet over, and we did the dance again. Me positioning myself in bed, Cade handing me babies one at a time, both twins latching immediately, and the crying stopping like someone had flipped a switch. In the growing dawn light, I could see them better. Mira had more hair, darker. We sat in silence while I fed both babies. Cade helped with burping, with switching sides, with all the small mechanics of infant care. We worked together like we'd been doing this for months instead of hours. When both twins were milk-drunk and sleeping, Cade took them back to the nursery. Came back 5 minutes later with a bottle of water and a plate of food. You need to eat, he said, and hydrate. For the milk production. I should have been offended. But he was right. I'd barely been eating since the accident. Barely doing anything except surviving. Thank you, I said, taking the water. He sat back down on the bed, at a respectful distance, but still. There was an intimacy to this, sitting in a bed together at dawn, him in pajama pants and a t-shirt, me in yesterday's clothes with milk stains. Can I ask what happened? Cade said quietly. To your daughters? You don't have to tell me. But, drunk driver, I said. The lie I'd been told. The lie I'd believed for 6 weeks. Ran a red light. Hit us going 65. My alpha, Matthias, he died on impact. The crash triggered premature labor. They cut the babies out, but they were too small. Lungs weren't developed. They tried. The doctors tried everything. But at 29 weeks, I stopped. They were just too small. I'm so sorry, Cade said, and he sounded like he meant it. And your legs? Spinal fracture during the accident. L1 vertebra with cord compression. Incomplete paraplegia. I said it like a diagnosis. Like facts instead of the death of my ability to walk. You don't have to be fine, Cade said. He'd sat down next to me. Not touching, but close. I looked down at Mira, still nursing peacefully despite the drama. She didn't care that I was in a wheelchair. Didn't care that I was broken. Didn't care about anything except that I could feed her. Maybe that was enough. For now, maybe being needed was enough. Even if being needed felt dangerous. Felt like something that would hurt when it inevitably ended. But that was future Soren's problem. Present Soren just held the baby and tried not to think about how Cade's defense had felt like being protected for the first time in 6 weeks. Try not to think about how much he'd missed feeling protected. Try not to think about how dangerous it was to want that from Cade Thorne. The twins started sleeping longer stretches at week 2. For hours. Then 5. Then, blessed miracle, 6 hours straight. Which meant Cade and I had actual time to talk. Real conversations beyond feeding schedules and diaper counts. That's when I learned he was funny. Sharp-witted in a dry way that caught me off guard. We'd be sitting in the nursery at 2 a.m., him doing paperwork while I fed Zara, and he'd make some comment about a competitor that was so unexpectedly cutting I'd laugh without meaning to. I didn't know you could laugh, he said the first time it happened. I didn't know you could be funny. I countered. I contain multitudes. He'd smiled. Actually smiled. I hadn't seen that before. We started talking about things that weren't the babies. About everything, actually. I learned he'd built Thorne Industries from nothing. That his father had been a drunk who'd gambled away the family fortune. That Cade had put himself through business school working 3 jobs. That he'd made his first million at 25 and his first billion at 30. Ruthless CEO wasn't an image, he said one night. It was survival. You don't build something from nothing by being nice. You build it by being smart and strategic and willing to do what others won't. And now? I asked, are you still that person? I don't know. He looked at Mira sleeping in her bassinet. That person didn't have daughters. Didn't have, he stopped. Didn't have people who depended on him for more than money. Your mate depended on you. His face closed off. Isadora and I had an arrangement. Not a love match. She wanted status and security. I wanted an heir and a socially appropriate Omega. We were compatible, but not in love. Oh, I didn't know what to do with that information. She didn't deserve to die, he added quickly. I'm not saying that. She was kind. Good to me. Excited about the babies. But we weren't. We didn't have what most bonded pairs have. And I think she knew that. I think we both knew that. Why bond then? Because it was expected. Because powerful alphas bond with appropriate omegas and produce heirs. Because I thought that was enough. He looked at me. I was wrong. The weight of his gaze made my chest tight. Made me look away. What about you? Kate asked. You and Matthias. Was that love? Was it? I thought about my mate. About the alpha I'd bonded with at 23. I thought it was, I said slowly. He was kind. Stable. Safe. Everything I thought I wanted. But looking back, I don't know if we were in love or just compatible. Like you and Isadora. And now you'll never know. No. Now I'll never know. The grief was there, but distant. Like something I could observe without drowning in. I spent 6 weeks wishing I died with him. With the girls. Wishing the accident had taken me too. But now I'm feeding your daughters at 2 a.m. and actually feeling like maybe surviving was worth it. The confession hung between us. Raw. Honest. I'm glad you survived, Kate said quietly. Selfishly. Because my daughters need you. But also I'm glad you're alive, Soren. Even though I'm broken? You're not broken. His voice was firm. You're healing. There's a difference. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe that what I'd lost didn't define what I could become. But belief was hard when your legs didn't work and your daughters were dead, and you were living in a stranger's penthouse feeding babies that weren't yours. Week 3, everything shifted. I was feeding Mira, routine nighttime feeding, nothing special, when Cade came in looking grim. We need to talk, he said. After you're done. The babies fed. Got burped. Went down to sleep. I followed Cade to his office, dread pooling in my stomach. What's wrong? I asked. Are you firing me? Did your mother? No. God, no. This isn't about you. He ran his hands through his hair. It's about the accident. Yours. Matthias's death. My blood went cold. What about it? The driver who hit you. He wasn't drunk. What? Cade pulled up something on his computer. Turned the screen toward me. Police reports. Accident reconstruction. Toxicology. Clean tox screen. No alcohol. No drugs. Nothing. Cade's jaw was tight. But he had $200,000 deposited into his account the day before the accident. And a text message that said, make it look like an accident. Target the alpha. Omega is acceptable collateral. The room tilted. What are you saying? I'm saying Matthias was murdered. Someone paid to have him killed. And you and your daughters. You were just collateral damage. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Why? Why would someone? I don't know. Yet. But I'm going to find out. His eyes were hard. Furious. Because whoever killed Matthias and your daughters. They're still out there. And Soren, He hesitated. I think they might be targeting my twins too. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. Why would the same person? Because Matthias worked for me. Did you know that? I stared. What? 3 years ago. He was my chief financial officer. Until he found something. Some irregularity in our accounts. He was investigating it when he left the company suddenly. Said it was for personal reasons. Took a job at a smaller firm. He never told me that. Never mentioned you, or I think he was trying to protect you. Found something dangerous and got out before it could touch his family. Kate's face was grim, but it touched them anyway. Whoever he was investigating had him killed. Made it look like a drunk driver. Random accident. And your twins. 2 accidents in the nursery. Formula that tested positive for sedatives. A nanny who was found with 50,000 cash after trying to take them out of the building at 3 a.m. Both times prevented because the twins refused to eat the formula, refused to go with the nanny. He looked at me. Both times saved because they only accept you. My mind was reeling. You think I'm what? Some kind of protection? I think you're the reason they're alive. And I think someone's going to try again. He moved closer. Soren, I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest. What? Will you stay? Not just as a wet nurse, but as their protector, their parent, as someone who has as much stake in keeping them alive as I do. They're not my daughters. Aren't they? His eyes were intense. You feed them, comfort them, love them. They know your heartbeat, your scent, your voice. In every way that matters except biology, you're their parent. But I'm temporary. You said when they wean. Fuck temporary, Kate said roughly. I don't want temporary. I want you here. Permanently. Raising them. Protecting them. Being their father. Father. The word hit me like a fist. I can't replace their mother. I'm not asking you to. Isadora is gone. Nothing will change that. But these babies need an omega parent, and you're already doing it. So stop calling it temporary, and just stay. Please. Just stay. I looked at him. At this alpha who was offering me everything I'd lost. Family. Purpose. Daughters to raise. And what do you get out of this? I asked. Why do you want me to stay? His face did something complicated. Because you make this bearable. All of it. The grief. The terror. The middle of the night feedings. You make it bearable. And he stopped. I don't want to do this without you. It wasn't love. He wasn't offering love. Just partnership. Co-parenting. Mutual survival. I should have said no. Should have protected my heart. Should have remembered that getting attached led to loss. But Mira and Zara were in the next room. Sleeping. Trusting. Needing. And I'd already lost 2 daughters. Couldn't survive losing 4. Okay, I heard myself say. I'll stay. Permanently. Permanently. Something in Cade's face shifted. Relief. Gratitude. Something else I couldn't name. He stepped forward. Went to his knees in front of my wheelchair. Took my hands. Thank you, he said roughly. Thank you for staying. For protecting them. For everything. And there, at 3 a.m. in his office, this powerful alpha kneeling before a broken omega, I felt something shift between us. Something dangerous. Something that felt like falling. Week 4 brought the first real attempt. I was feeding Zara in the nursery, middle of the day, Kate in a meeting, when I heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Movement in the hallway outside the nursery door. The door was always kept closed during feedings. Always. Kate had installed a lock after the nanny incident. But now it was opening. I looked up. A man I'd never seen before stood in the doorway, dressed like building maintenance, holding a tablet like he had legitimate business here. But his eyes went straight to the babies. Sorry, he said, not sounding sorry at all. Wrong floor. He started to come in, toward the bassinet where Mira was sleeping. Every instinct screamed danger. Stop, I said. My voice came out harder than I'd ever heard it. You don't have clearance for this floor. Leave. Now. Just need to check the vents. Leave, or I'm calling security. He took another step. His hand went to his pocket. I didn't think. Just grabbed the nearest thing, a heavy glass bottle, and threw it. My aim was terrible from the wheelchair, but adrenaline helped. It hit him in the shoulder. He stumbled. Cade, I screamed. Cade, now. The man turned and ran. Cade burst through the door 30 seconds later, security behind him. What happened? Are you hurt? The babies. Fine. We're fine. But someone was here. Tried to come in. He ran when I threw something at him. Security reviewed the footage. The man had used a stolen maintenance badge. Had accessed the executive elevator. Had gone straight to the nursery. He knew where to go, Cade said, his voice dangerous. Knew exactly where the twins would be. This wasn't random. What did he want? You probably. To get you out of the way. The twins won't eat without you, so eliminate me and the twins starve. The realization was cold. I'm not just their wet nurse. I'm their only food source. Which makes me a target? Which makes you invaluable? Cade's hand found my shoulder. Grounding. Are you okay? Really okay? I was shaking. Adrenaline crash. I could have been hurt. The babies could have. But you weren't. You protected them. Threw a bottle at an intruder while feeding an infant. He stopped. You're incredible. I'm terrified. You can be both. We hired private security after that. Ex-military. Background checked within an inch of their lives. 24-hour protection. And I stopped leaving the babies alone. Ever. If I had to pump, I did it in the nursery with both twins where I could see them. If I needed to shower, Kate stood guard. We became a fortress. A lockdown, paranoid fortress. But the twins were alive. Thriving. Mira was up to 8 pounds. Zara was close behind. Both looking more and more like they belonged to me. Week 5, Cade's mother came back. This time she was polite. Respectful. Actually called me by name. Soren, she said. May I hold my granddaughters? I looked at Cade. He nodded. So I handed over Mira, carefully. His mother held the baby awkwardly, like she wasn't sure what to do with an infant. But she looked at Mira with something like love. She has Isadora's eyes, she said quietly. She has her mother's everything, Cade replied. Both of them do. They're beautiful. His mother looked at me. And thriving. Because of you, I understand. It wasn't quite an apology, but it was acknowledgement. They're good babies, I said carefully. Easy to love. Cade tells me you lost twins of your own. I'm sorry. That must make this difficult. Sometimes, I admitted. But also healing. She nodded. Handed Mira back. I judged you. Based on appearance. On assumptions. I was wrong. You're good for them. For Cade. That last part felt loaded. I didn't touch it. After she left, Cade looked relieved. That went better than expected. She's protective. Of you. Of them. I understand that. She called you good for me. He was watching me carefully. What do you think she meant? I knew what she meant. Could see it in how Cade looked at me. How he touched me. Casual brushes that lingered. But acknowledging it felt dangerous. I think she meant I'm good at my job, I said carefully. Right? Of course. Your job. Something flickered across his face. That's all this is. What else would it be? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Nothing. You're right. But it didn't feel like just a job anymore. It felt like family. Like belonging. Like something I'd die to protect. Week 6, the twins smiled for the first time. Real smiles. Not gas. Actual responsive smiles. Mira smiled at Cade during a diaper change. Zara smiled at me during a feeding. We both melted completely. Did you see that? Cade asked. She smiled at me. An actual smile. Zara smiled too. Look, she's doing it again. We were ridiculous. Taking photos. Videos. We should celebrate, Cade said suddenly. Let me make dinner. You cook. I have many skills. He made incredible pasta. His grandmother's recipe, he said. We ate at his dining table. The twins sleeping nearby. The city lights glittering outside. It felt domestic. Intimate. Like a real family dinner. Dangerous. Soren, Cade said carefully. Do you ever think about the future? About what happens when the twins are weaned? My stomach dropped. Sometimes. And I try not to think about it too hard. Because it hurts. Why does it hurt? Because I'll lose them, I thought. I'll lose you. Because I've gotten attached, I said instead. Which was stupid. What if it didn't have to be temporary? I looked at him. What? What if you stayed? Not just as a wet nurse, but as a parent. Their Omega father. Permanently. We've talked about this. No, we danced around it. But I'm asking directly now. Soren, I want you to stay. Not because the twins need you, but because I need you. The words hung there. Heavy. Cade. I'm falling for you, he said quietly. Have been for weeks. I know it's fast. Too fast. But Soren, Isadora, and I weren't in love. We were partners. But not this. Not what I feel when I look at you. You feel obligated. Grateful. This isn't gratitude. He reached across the table. Took my hand. This is me wanting to wake up next to you. Wanting to raise these babies with you. Wanting to build a life with you. As partners. As mates. I can't walk, I said desperately. I'm broken. You're perfect. His grip tightened. Your wheelchair doesn't make you less. Your grief doesn't make you damaged. You're everything. And I know this is fast. I know we're both still grieving. But I also know what I feel. And I don't want to waste time pretending I don't feel it. Tears were streaming down my face. I can't do this. Can't survive losing someone else. Nothing's going to happen. You can't promise that. You're right. I can't. He stood, came around the table, knelt in front of my wheelchair. But I can promise I'll fight for you. Protect you. Choose you every single day. And Soren, you can choose too. You can choose to live instead of just survive. Choose to love instead of hide. Choose us. What if I choose wrong? What if you choose right? I looked at him. This alpha kneeling before me. offering everything. And I wanted it. God, I wanted it so badly. I need time, I whispered. To think. Disappointment flickered across his face. But he nodded. Okay, take your time. But Soren, you're not leaving. Whether you choose me or not, you're staying. Raising these babies. That's non-negotiable. It should have felt controlling. Instead it felt like safety. Like being chosen. Okay, I said. I'll stay. And us. I don't know yet. But I'll think about it. He smiled. Small. Hopeful. That's all I'm asking. Week 7, I woke to silence. The twins always woke at 4 a.m. But now, nothing. Terror seized me. I transferred to my wheelchair faster than ever. Raced to the nursery. Please be breathing. Please. They were both awake. Just lying there. Content. Quiet. Oh my God, I breathed. You're okay. You just slept through. Kate appeared, equally panicked. What's wrong? Nothing. They're fine. They just slept through their feeding. We stared at each other. Then at the babies. They've never done that, Kate said. I know. As if on cue, Mira started fussing. Then Zara. I fed them. But something felt different. They nursed for less time. Seemed less desperate. They're growing up, I said quietly. Getting stronger. Needing less. Kate heard what I didn't say. Eventually, they won't need me at all. I meant what I said, Kate said. About wanting you to stay. Not just until they wean. Permanently. As their father. He stopped. As my mate. My heart was pounding. Kate. I can't stop thinking about it, he continued. Can't stop imagining what it would be like. You. Me. The twins. A real family. Not just co-parents. Real. We're both grieving. It's not just grief, he interrupted. I know what grief feels like. This is different. This is, Soren, when I see you with the twins, I see everything I want. When you laugh, I want to make it happen more. When you're in pain, I want to fix it. When you're scared, I want to be the one who makes you feel safe. That's not grief. That's love. I love you, Soren. I'm in love with you. Tears were streaming down my face. I'm scared, I admitted. So scared. Because I want this too. Want you. Want this family. But what if? What if something happens? What if we lose each other? Kate moved closer. Then we'll survive it. Together. But Soren, what if nothing bad happens? What if we get to be happy? Doesn't that possibility deserve a chance? I don't know how to be happy anymore. Then let me teach you. Let us teach each other. One day at a time. I looked at him. Really looked. Saw the hope in his eyes. The love. And something in me broke. Or healed. Okay, I heard myself say. Okay. Okay, let's try. Let's be a family. Be together. I can't promise I won't be terrified. He kissed me. Soft. Gentle. Perfect. When he pulled back, he was smiling. You don't have to promise anything except to try. Just trying. Just trying. So I tried. Week 8, I got a phone call. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Soren Delacroix? A woman's voice. Professional. This is Detective Maria Santos. I'm investigating the death of Matthias Delacroix. I need to ask you some questions. My blood ran cold. I already gave my statement. New evidence has come to light. I'd like to meet in person. I looked at Cade. He was listening. His face had gone hard. What kind of evidence? I asked. The kind that suggests your mate's death wasn't an accident, and that you might be in danger too. We met at a coffee shop. Cade insisted on coming. Brought security. Detective Santos laid out photos. Bank records. Text messages. Surveillance footage. Matthias Delacroix was investigating financial fraud at Thorn Industries 3 years ago, she said. Did you know that? No, I said honestly. He found evidence of embezzlement. Millions being siphoned. He reported it to Cade Thorne. Mr. Thorne initiated an investigation. Cade nodded. I remember. But the investigation went nowhere. Because someone buried it, Santos said. Someone with access. Someone who knew Matthias was getting close. Who? I asked. That's what we're trying to determine. But Soren, the same person who paid to have Matthias killed, has been making attempts on Mr. Thorne's twins. We know, Cade said. Your security might not be enough. Santos pulled out another photo. This man. Do you recognize him? I looked. Felt my stomach drop. That was one of the EMTs. At my accident. When Matthias died. He's not an EMT. He's a hired killer. And he's been seen near your building 3 times in the past week. Cade went very still. Very quiet. You're saying he's coming back, Cade said. For the twins. For Soren. I'm saying you're all in danger until we find who hired him. And Soren, you're the key. You were there. You might have seen something. I was in shock. I don't remember. Try. Please. Anything. I closed my eyes. Forced myself back. The gender reveal party. Pink balloons. Matthias's hand on my belly. The drive home. Dark roads. Talking about names. Then lights. Too bright. Coming fast. The impact. Metal crunching. Matthias's neck snapping. And there was a second car, I said suddenly. After the accident. A black sedan. Someone got out. Talked to the driver who hit us. Then left before the Real EMTs arrived. Did you see their face? No. But I heard them. Make sure the Omega doesn't remember. Too risky. Then they injected me with something. To make you forget, Santos finished. To erase the witness. They tried to kill my memory, I whispered. And they might try again, Cade said. His hand found mine. Which is why we're leaving. Tonight. Somewhere safe. I can't just. Yes, you can. We have a safe house. Private. Secure. We'll take the twins. Security. Everything. But we're not staying here while someone hunts you. I looked at the babies. Innocent. Vulnerable. Okay, I said. We'll go. Santos nodded. Smart. I'll coordinate with your security. But Mr. Delacroix? Be careful. Whoever's behind this has killed before. We packed in 2 hours. Kate had a safe house in the mountains. 3 hours outside Seattle. Isolated. Secure. The twins were fussy, but settled in the car. And I sat in the back with them, watching the city disappear. Are you okay? Kate asked. No. But I will be. We'll keep you safe. All of you. I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. I can keep this one. His voice was steel. No one is touching my family. Not while I'm alive. My family. Like we already were one. And despite everything, I felt hope. The safe house was beautiful. Modern cabin. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Completely accessible. Kate had renovated it for wheelchair users. When did you do this? I asked. 2 weeks ago. When I decided I wanted you to stay. Wanted you to have places that were yours. He'd been planning this. Planning for me. Thank you. I said quietly. This is perfect. We settled in. The twins thrived. Started sleeping even longer. 6 hours. 7. Which meant more time for Cade and me. We cooked together. Talked. Watched movies. Slowly learned each other. And one night, a week into our mountain isolation, Cade kissed me again. Deeper this time. More intent. Is this okay? He murmured. Yes, I breathed. More than okay. We moved to the bedroom. Slow. Careful. Mindful of my limitations. But perfect. And afterward, lying in his arms, I let myself believe. Believe in this. In us. In the future. 2 days later, everything fell apart. I woke to shouting. Glass breaking. Cade yelling for security. Then gunshots. My heart stopped. I transferred to my wheelchair. Raced to the nursery. The twins were crying. Terrified. But alive. I grabbed them both. Held them close. Wheeled to the panic room Cade had shown me on day 1. Locked us inside. More gunshots. Shouting. Then silence. Terrible silence. I sat in the dark, holding the twins, praying Cade was alive. 15 minutes later, the panic room door opened. Cade stood there. Alive. Blood on his shirt, but not his blood. It's over, he said. They're dead. All of them. Who? The people who killed Matthias. Who tried to kill you. Who wanted the twins dead. He stepped inside. Pulled me and the babies into his arms. My CFO. My fucking chief financial officer. He's been embezzling for years. Matthias found out. So he had him killed. And when I started investigating after you told me about the murder, he decided to eliminate all of us. Is he dead? Security killed him when he tried to breach the house. Cade's voice was shaking. It's over, Soren. Really over. You're safe. The twins are safe. We're all safe. I started crying. Couldn't stop. Cade held us all. His family. Broken and traumatized, but alive. I love you, he said into my hair. I love you so much. And I'm never letting you go. Never. You're mine. Mine to protect. Mine to love. Mine. Yours, I whispered. We're all yours. 3 months later, we bonded. Proper ceremony. Small. Intimate. Just us and the twins and a handful of close friends. I wore white. Traditional Omega bonding attire. Cade wore black. And when he bit my neck, creating the bond, I felt it snap into place. Permanent. Unbreakable. Forever. The twins were 5 months old. Starting solid foods. Still nursing, but less frequently. And I was ready. Ready to let them grow. Ready to be their father without the biological imperative. Ready to be Cade's mate. His partner. His equal. I love you, Cade said after the ceremony. We were alone. The twins asleep. My brave, beautiful, perfect Omega. I love you too, I said. My alpha. My mate. My home. Because that's what he was. What this was. Home. Not the penthouse or the safe house or any physical place. But this. This family. This love. This choice to keep choosing each other. I'd lost everything 6 months ago. Lost my mate. My daughters. My ability to walk. But I'd found something too. Found Cade. Found Mira and Zara. Found purpose and love and family. Found myself again. The broken Omega who'd fed starving twins at 2 a.m. was gone. In his place was Soren Thorne. Bonded mate. Father. Survivor. Whole. Not despite what I'd lost, but because of what I'd found. And that was worth everything. 1 year later, I stood in the nursery watching the twins play. Mira and Zara were 15 months old now. Walking. Talking. Growing into tiny humans with distinct personalities. Mira was bold. Fearless. She'd climb anything, touch everything, laugh at danger. Zara was cautious. Thoughtful. She'd watch first, plan, then execute with precision. Both call me Papa. Not because anyone taught them, but because that's what I was. Their Omega parent. The one who fed them, comforted them, loved them unconditionally. Cade was Daddy. The one who played rough, who lifted them high, who made them squeal with laughter. We were a family. Real. Permanent. Perfect in our imperfection. They're getting so big, Cade said, coming up behind me. His arms wrapped around my waist. His chin rested on my shoulder. Hard to believe they were tiny newborns a year ago. Hard to believe I almost didn't stay, I said quietly. I would have convinced you. Eventually. I'm very persuasive. You're very stubborn. That too. He kissed my neck. Right over the bonding mark. But so are you. Stubborn enough to survive. To love again. To build this life with me. I turned in his arms. Looked at my mate. My alpha. The man who'd saved me as much as I'd saved his daughters. I'm happy, I said. Simple. True. For the first time in over a year, I'm genuinely happy. Me too. He kissed me. Soft. Sweet. Thank you for choosing me. For choosing us. Thank you for making me worth choosing. Mira toddled over, arms up. Papa. Up. I reached down, lifted her. She snuggled against my chest. Right where she'd nursed for the first 8 months of her life. Zara followed. Always following her sister. Daddy. Up. Cade scooped her up. And there we were. A family of 4. In a nursery that had been empty and sad and now was full of toys and laughter and life. Story time. Cade suggested. Always, I said. We settled on the floor, me transferring from my wheelchair to sit with my back against the wall, twins in my lap. Cade beside us. And I read them a story about a little Omega who lost everything but found something better. About choosing love over fear. About building family from broken pieces. About how sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. The twins didn't understand the meaning. They just liked the pictures. The silly voices I did. The safety of being held while I read. But one day they'd understand. One day I'd tell them the whole story. About Lyra and Celeste. About Matthias. About the accident that took everything and somehow led me to them. About how their papa had been broken and their daddy had been drowning, and together we'd learned to breathe again. One day, but not today. Today we just read stories and laughed and existed in the peaceful mundane of family life. Today was enough. Tomorrow would be enough. Forever would be enough. Because I had everything I needed right here. My mate. My daughters. My home. My life. Rebuilt from ashes into something beautiful. And that was the miracle. Not that I'd survived, but that I'd learned to live again. But that peaceful moment was interrupted by my phone ringing. Detective Santos. I answered, feeling Cade tense beside me. We hadn't heard from her in months. Not since the case closed. Mr. Delacroix-Thorne, she said formally. I wanted to update you. The trial concluded today. All remaining conspirators were convicted. Life sentences. No possibility of parole. Relief flooded through me. All of them. Every single person involved in your mate's murder. In the attempts on the twins. In the embezzlement scheme. They're done. You're safe. Permanently. Thank you, I said. For everything. For believing me. For finding the truth. You did most of the work. Remembering that second car. Identifying the fake EMT. Your testimony sealed the case. She paused. How are you doing? Really? I looked around the nursery. And my daughters playing. And my mate watching me with love in his eyes. At the life I'd built from trauma. I'm good, I said honestly. Really good. I'm glad. You deserve it. After everything you survived. Another pause. There's one more thing. We found Matthias's investigation notes. Hidden in a safe deposit box. He'd documented everything. The embezzlement. The threats. And, she hesitated. And a letter. For you. To be delivered if anything happened to him. My breath caught. A letter. I'm having it couriered to you today. Thought you'd want to read it privately. After we hung up, Cade pulled me close. Are you okay? I don't know. A letter from Matthias. After all this time. You don't have to read it if you're not ready. I think I need to. For closure. The letter arrived 2 hours later. I waited until the twins were napping. Until Cade and I were alone in our bedroom. Until I felt strong enough to face my dead mate's words. The envelope was worn. Yellowed. Dated 3 years ago, right before Matthias left Thorn Industries. I opened it with shaking hands. Soren, if you're reading this, I'm dead. And I'm so sorry. I found something at Thorn Industries. Evidence of massive fraud. Millions being stolen. I reported it to Cade Thorn, but the investigation got buried. I realized someone high up was protecting the culprit. I should have walked away. Should have let it go. But I couldn't. The money being stolen was from employee pension funds, retirement accounts, people's futures. So I kept investigating. Quietly. Gathering evidence. And someone noticed. I started getting threats. Anonymous at first. Then more direct. Stop digging, or your family pays. I left Thorn Industries. Took a job elsewhere. Thought that would be enough. It wasn't. The threats continued. Got worse. Specific. They knew where we lived. Knew about you. Knew you were pregnant. I never told you because I wanted to protect you. Wanted you to stay innocent. Safe. Happy. But if you're reading this, my protection failed. And I'm sorry. Soren, you deserve so much more than I could give you. You deserve someone who chooses you first. Who doesn't keep secrets. Who loves you the way you deserve to be loved. I cared about you. Deeply. But I know now that care isn't the same as love. Not the all-consuming, can't breathe without you love you read about. I hope you find that. Find someone who loves you that completely. Who sees you for the incredible Omega you are. And I hope you forgive me. For the secrets. For the danger I brought to your door. For not being brave enough to love you the way I should have. Take care of yourself. Take care of our daughters. Live. Be happy. Don't let my mistakes define your future. I'm sorry I couldn't be better for you. But I'm grateful I got to know you at all. Always. Matthias. I read it twice. 3 times. Then I cried. Not from grief this time. But from release. From understanding. From forgiveness. Matthias had never loved me the way I'd thought. We'd been compatible. Comfortable. Safe. But not in love. Just like Cade and Isadora. And knowing that, knowing Matthias had wanted me to find real love, somehow made everything easier. Made my love for Cade feel less like betrayal and more like destiny. Are you okay? Cade asked, reading the letter over my shoulder. Yes, I said. I really am. He gave me permission. To move on. To love you without guilt. To be happy. You never needed his permission. Maybe not. But it helps. Having it. I folded the letter carefully. He wasn't perfect. We weren't perfect. But he tried to protect me. That counts for something. It counts for everything. Cade pulled me close. And Soren? I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt that you're loved. Completely. Perfectly. Forever. I know, I said. And I did. I know. We sat there in our bedroom, in our home, and I finally let go. Let go of the guilt. The what-ifs. The grief that had defined me for so long. Matthias was gone. Lyra and Celeste were gone. That part of my life was over. But this part, this beautiful, messy, perfect part, was just beginning. And I was ready. Finally ready. To live it fully. 2 years after that letter, on the twins' 3rd birthday, Cade surprised me. I have something for you, he said after the party. After the cake and presents and chaos of toddlers. He handed me adoption papers. Legal documents making me officially, legally, permanently the twins' parent. They've always been yours, Cade said. But now it's official. Legal. No one can ever question it. You're their father. Forever. I stared at the papers through tears. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. Because you've been their father since the moment you fed them at 2 a.m. in my office. Because biology doesn't make family, love does. And you love them more than anyone except me. So yes, I had to. I signed the papers with shaking hands. Soren Delacroix Thorn. Legal father to Mira Elena Thorn and Zara Violet Thorn. Official. Permanent. Real. Thank you, I whispered. For this. For them. For everything. Thank you for saving us, Cade said. All of us. We were drowning before you. You brought us back to life. We saved each other. Yes, we did. The twins ran in then, 3 years old and full of energy. Covered in cake. Laughing. Papa. Daddy. Come play. Mira demanded. Please. Zara added, always the polite one. We looked at each other. Smiled. Coming, we said together. And we spent the rest of the evening playing with our daughters. Our family. Rebuilt from tragedy into something beautiful. That night, after the twins were asleep, Cade and I lay in bed together. Do you ever miss it? He asked quietly. Walking? Your old life? The future you thought you'd have? I thought about it. Really thought. Sometimes I miss walking, I said honestly. Miss running. Miss dancing. But Cade, this life, the one I have now, is better than anything I imagined before. This is real. This is love. This is everything. Even with the wheelchair? The limitations. The wheelchair is part of me now. It doesn't make me less. Just different. And different brought me to you. Brought me to them. So no, I don't miss my old life. Because this one is better. He kissed me. Deep. Passionate. Full of love. I love you, he said. Every part of you. Including the parts that are hard. The grief. The trauma. The wheelchair. All of it. Because all of it makes you who you are. And who you are is perfect. I love you too, I said. My alpha. My mate. My home. Because that's what he was. Home wasn't the penthouse or the safe house. Home was Cade. The twins. This family we'd built. Home was choosing love over fear. Home was surviving and learning to live again. Home was here. Now. Forever. And I was finally, completely, perfectly home. 5 years after feeding the twins for the first time, I sat in my wheelchair in the kitchen making breakfast while Mira and Zara set the table. They were 5 now. In kindergarten. Smart and funny and kind. Both knew their story. How Papa had lost his first daughters. How Daddy had lost his first mate. How they'd found each other through grief and built something beautiful. They didn't fully understand yet. They were too young. But they would. They'd grow up knowing that family wasn't just biology. That love was choice. That sometimes the most broken people built the strongest homes. Cade came up behind me. Kissed my neck. Morning, beautiful. Morning, handsome. Papa. Daddy. We're ready, the twins called. We sat down to breakfast together. A family of 4. Talking about kindergarten and friends and the field trip next week. Normal. Mundane. Perfect. After the girls left for school, Cade pulled me aside. I have news, he said. He looked nervous. Excited. What? I've been talking to some people. Medical specialists. About experimental spinal surgery. There's a new procedure. Success rate is about 60%. They think you might be able to walk again. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe with assistance. But walk. My heart stopped. What? It's risky. No guarantees. And you'd need months of rehab. But Soren, there's a chance. If you want it. Did I want it? To walk again? I looked at my wheelchair. My constant companion for 5 years. The thing that had brought me to Cade. That had made me different enough to see the world in new ways. I don't know, I said honestly. I gestured to the chair. This is part of me now. I'm not broken. I'm just different. I know. And I love you exactly as you are. Wheelchair or no wheelchair. But if you want the chance, the option, it's there. Can I think about it? Of course. No pressure. No expectations. Just wanted you to know it's possible. I thought about it for weeks. Talked to doctors. Physical therapists. The twins. Will you still be Papa if you can walk? Mira asked, worried. Always, I promised. Walking or not walking. I'm always your Papa. Then do what makes you happy, Zara said, wise beyond her years. In the end, I decided to try. Not because I felt broken. Not because I thought I needed fixing. But because I wanted the option. Wanted to choose. Wanted to see if I could. The surgery was scheduled for spring. Success rate, 60%. I could walk again. Or I could wake up exactly the same. Either way, I'd still have Cade. The twins. My family. Either way, I'd still be whole. Because wholeness wasn't about working legs. It was about love. Choice. Family. Home. And I had all of that. Wheelchair or not. The surgery was tomorrow. Tonight, I lay in bed with Cade, his arms around me. Scared, he asked. Terrified. Want to cancel? No. I want to try. Want to choose this. Want to see if I can. And if you can't? If you wake up and nothing's changed? Then I have you. The twins. This life. And that's more than enough. He kissed me. Long, deep. I love you. So much. You're the bravest person I know. I'm really not. You are. You drank poison for babies you didn't know. Threw a bottle at an intruder. Survived loss that should have destroyed you. Learned to love again. That's brave. Or stubborn. Both. He smiled. You're both. We lay there in the dark, holding each other. Tomorrow I'd either walk again or I wouldn't. But tonight, I was exactly where I needed to be. In my mate's arms. In our home. In the life we'd built. And that was perfect. Exactly as it was. I woke from surgery to Cade's face. Hey, he said softly. You're okay. Surgery went well. The doctor says it's too early to know if it worked, but the twins. I asked, my voice groggy. He smiled. First thing you ask about. They're with my mother. Eating her out of house and home. They sent you drawings. Wanna see? He held up crayon masterpieces. Stick figures labeled Papa and Daddy and Mira and Zara. My heart squeezed. They're perfect. Just like you. Recovery was brutal. Physical therapy. Pain. Months of work. But slowly, impossibly, I started to feel things. Tingles. Movement. Strength. 6 months after surgery, I took my first step. Just one. With Cade holding me up. With the twins watching, wide-eyed. But one step was everything. Papa walked. Mira shrieked. Papa walked. Zara echoed. I collapsed back into the wheelchair, exhausted, but triumphant. You did it, Cade said, tears in his eyes. You fucking did it. We did it, I corrected. All of us. Together. A year after surgery, I could walk with assistance. Cane. Braces. Limited mobility. Not perfect, but more than I'd had before. I kept the wheelchair too. Used it when I was tired. When my legs couldn't handle the distance. When I needed it. Because it wasn't weakness to use mobility aids. It was strength. Adaptation. Survival. The twins didn't care how I moved. They just cared that I was there. Kate didn't care either. Loved me the same whether I walked or wheeled or crawled. Because love wasn't conditional on ability. It was just love. Pure. Simple. Forever. 10 years after feeding the twins for the first time, I stood at Myra's elementary school graduation. She was 10. About to go to middle school. Growing up so fast it hurt. Zara was beside her. Always beside her. My quiet, thoughtful daughter. Cade's arm was around my waist. Supporting me. But also just holding me. They're getting so big, I said. I know. Soon they won't need us at all. They'll always need us. Just differently. After the ceremony, the twins ran to us. Papa. Daddy. We did it. We graduated. We hugged them tight. Our daughters. Our miracles. We're so proud of you, I said. So proud, Cade echoed. That night, after the twins were asleep, Cade and I sat on our balcony. Do you remember that first night? He asked. When you fed them in my office? Every second of it. I knew then. Knew you were something special. Knew I'd do anything to keep you in our lives. I was terrified. So was I. He took my hand. Terrified of losing them. Of being alone. Of failing as a father. And then you appeared. This broken, beautiful Omega who saved us all. You saved me too. We saved each other. We sat in comfortable silence. A decade of love. Of survival. Of building family from ashes. Any regrets? Kate asked. Not a single one. Not even. Not even losing my daughters. Not even the accident. Not even the wheelchair. I looked at him. Because all of it led me here. To you. To Mira and Zara. To this life. And I wouldn't change a single thing. I love you, he said. More than I knew was possible. I love you too. Always. Forever. We sat there under the stars. Two people who'd lost everything and found something better. Two people who'd learned that love wasn't about perfection. It was about choice. About showing up. About surviving together. And we'd survived. More than survived. We'd thrived. Built a family. A home. A life. From grief and trauma and impossible odds. And that was the real miracle. Not that we survived, but that we learned to live again. Not that we found love, but that we chose it. Every day, every moment. That we kept choosing each other. That was the story worth telling. The broken Omega who fed dying twins at 2 a.m. The ruthless Alpha who learned to kneel. The daughters who were saved by love. The family built from broken pieces. That was us. Imperfect. Scarred. Beautiful. Exactly as we were meant to be. And I wouldn't change a single thing. The end.